Hi, I'm Wyatt.
And I'm Grace.
And you're listening to Our Dad and your host of the Vacation Rental Revolution podcast.
What's up, guys? Welcome to today's podcast episode. I'm so excited today. We're back to doing an interview with some of our members. We've got James and Emily Bauslaugh from Virginia with us today, and Fredricksburg, Virginia, right, guys?
Yep, that's it.
Okay. All right, awesome. So I just want to make sure we'll get a better introduction, but I'm really excited. James and Emily joined our group less than 30 days ago, and they've got an amazing story. They're not the type that like to sit around and twiddle their thumbs, as you will hear here shortly. They dove in and they hit the ground running. So we'll have a fun time talking to them. But I'm really excited because some of our other interviews have been some members who have been in for a little bit longer, have had established properties, they're getting revenue on them and everything else. And James and Emily got into this game a really short time ago. And they do have a property that they're under contract on right now that we'll talk about. But it's a really fun process. I wanted to talk to them a little bit about their process. But as usual, guys, to warm you up, we're gonna hit you up with some rapid fire questions. Shelly came up with this a few episodes ago. And so Emily, I'm gonna have you answer first, and then we'll let James answer.
Okay.
And so we'll
bring it. We're ready.
We're going to see how compatible you are with some of these questions as well. So, okay, awesome. So, mountains or beach?
Beach.
All right. Hold on a second. Mountains or beach? And the property that they have under contract is on a ski hill. So
yes, that's right.
That's our number two.
Okay, all right.
Your numbers helped us make a wiser decision.
Okay,
so
all right.
Grateful
Sorry.
for that. Yes.
You guys totally threw me off right there on the first one. The very first question, the host gets thrown off of his thought process. All right, urban or rural?
Love it.
Rural.
Rural.
Awesome. Netflix or nightclub?
Netflix.
Truck or car?
Truck.
Car.
Emily, my kind of girl. Tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Okay. Protein bar or protein shake?
Ooh. Oh my goodness. Shake. Protein shake.
Protein bar.
Okay. Summer or winter?
Ooh. Both. Is that possible?
Yeah, I like that.
Okay.
I'll take summer.
Okay. Steak or chicken?
Steak.
All right. Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
For sure, dogs.
All right. Hard books or audiobooks?
Audiobooks.
Okay. Running shoes or high heels?
Running shoes.
Definitely running shoes.
Okay. I was just waiting there, James. We were going to go. We just might have thought different
out there that you have.
Yeah.
One jokes that you have is gonna. Yeah.
Gummy bears or chocolate?
Chocolate.
Money or free time?
Free
time.
Awesome. This is one of my favorite questions, and this, like our group, so we talk about investing, right? We invest in real estate. We want a return on money. Nobody's ever answered money, which I love. I love the fact that we realize that that's so much more important. But early riser, night owl?
Early riser.
All right. Facebook or Twitter?
Facebook.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or neither. Road trip or air travel?
Yeah. Road
trip.
Awesome. Okay, guys, that gets you warmed up. So now the hard questions start. So we'll dive in.
Nice.
Yeah, we'll dive in kind of the details. First, we would like to get to know you a little bit. You know, I kind of gave you a really brief introduction, where you're from. Tell us a little bit about the family, where you guys are from, if you've always been from Fredricksburg, or and give us a little background, what you do, where you're from, and tell us a little bit about the family.
Well, Emily and I are from Michigan. We were both born and raised in Michigan, and we actually met each other in college. And, Emily saw me from across the room. She thought, man, this good-looking guy right here, I got to meet him. No, it's actually the opposite. It was the opposite.
Yeah. So, hey, just so people are listening to this game, and they can't see. And so there is, and I can say this because I'm in your same boat, and you can appreciate this. We definitely traded up, my friend. And so
traded up.
There was definitely a chase But it was the other way around, I'm sure.
It was the other way around, and everyone that's listening right now could probably hear the eye roll that took place on the video. But yeah, we met each other in college, and we actually, right before getting married, we moved down to Fredricksburg, Virginia, which is a city located between DC and Richmond. And so we moved down here and started our married lives out this way. And we've been here now for a little over 12 years. And 3 kids later, we've been out here for 12 years, and Fredericksburg, Virginia is now home for us.
Awesome. How many, Emily, tell us about the boys. You're outnumbered. That's why. So you've got to tell us a little bit about how you get outnumbered there.
Yes. Well, we have 3 very active boys. Yeah. We have a 9-year-old named Zane, and we have a 7-year-old named Ezekiel. We call him Zeke. And we have a 4-year-old named Judah. And I'm actually homeschooling the older 2 and now Judah as well this year, just with COVID and things going on. This is my first year doing that. But, yeah, just a very lively household.
Yeah. I'm sure that those that's why that coffee is so nice to have once in a while. You're like,
yes,
right?
I need my coffee.
Mandatory.
Sure.
Right. Mandatory.
Right, mandatory coffee. No, they this year you started homeschooling. Will you keep that going, or is that just a COVID thing?
Probably just COVID.
Yeah.
We'll see. Who knows?
Yeah.
I would have never thought we would be here, so who knows?
Yeah. We my wife homeschools, but we've been homeschooling for a few years. So this year wasn't really throwing us off too much because she's been doing the homeschool. But I've had talked to a lot of people that are like, when school starts, I'm going back to school. So it's that age is fun. I've got 9-year-old twins, so I know that age they don't stop. They don't. I'm like, man, I don't know how we can bottle that energy up and use it, but we need to figure out how to.
Right? I don't. They bounce everywhere or wrestle everywhere. It's one of the 2.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, hopefully you get some sort of an escape somewhere, James. You got to make sure that happens because she's outnumbered.
Oh, definitely.
All right.
Oh, definitely.
All right. Awesome. Tell us what do you do for a living?
So I'm actually a real estate agent in Fredericksburg, and I've been doing that now for 5 years. And that business has really grown. It's grown fast. My first year in was really, really good, and now I'm blessed to be one of the top agents out in this area. And my secret weapon in real estate is actually Emily. She's the one that takes my photos, and she's the one that helps me sell these properties. So we are able to do a little bit of that together because she's the photographer for me a lot of the times. So I'm a real estate agent out in this way.
Nice. And then Emily helps on the photo side of it.
Yes.
Nice. And then Emily, you stay with the kids, right? You're home with the kids and help on that side.
I'm home with the kids.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. At this point, I'm home with the boys and homeschooling. And that's really been as much as I could handle right now.
Oh, that's not as much as anybody can handle. That's not one of those like that's a lot. So tell me what do you guys enjoy as a family? What kind of activities do you guys go do as a family together?
I think we like to be outside a lot. We love to swim and go to the beach. I think outdoor activities with the boys are wonderful. Yeah. They can be boys, which is perfect.
They can't break as much when they're outside.
Yes.
Right. Except for their arms, right?
That's right. Their bodies.
They come back with a couple bruises, but at least everything's intact in the house. Right?
That's right. 2 of the 3 have had broken bones, or we're just waiting on the youngest to join the club. Yeah. But yeah, we're blessed to be outside quite a bit. We live in a community where there's a lake. And so we're able to get out and enjoy that, whether we're on the water, in the water, fishing, playing some golf in the community. There's some soccer fields and different things in the area. Of course, they have a lot of friends. We have a lot of friends in this community. So we love just being outside and playing together, which is actually one of the draws to how we found you, is we love to have adventures, to play outside. We're an active family. And so that was one of the attractions to Vodyssey.
Awesome. So yeah, you had to stumble a little bit. We're still kind of getting used to that, right? When you we made that changeover from Lifestyle University to Vodyssey, like right after you got in, right? So we're still kind of getting used to Vodyssey as well. So we're some of those listeners, they'll appreciate that that we sometimes bounce back and forth. So do you've been in the real estate game, building your team up there. I know you're getting into the coaching side of it as well, right? Helping some agents and get there, get into the game and do some of that stuff, right?
Yes, I don't have a team, but I do train agents, especially new agents, through their first several deals. And I just put out, we have a business called the Focus Agent, where there's a quarterly planner just to help agents not only create goals, but track their goals. So we're very excited about that. So yeah, I have put my toe in the coaching game for real estate for a couple of years now, and that's been great.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, awesome. I actually, you let me kind of look into that a little bit. I looked into it. It looks awesome. And that's going to be a really fun thing for people to dive into as well. So we have a lot of agents listening to this on the podcast. So go check out the Focused Agent as well. And so you've been in the game. Any other real estate investments in the past that you were doing? Did you ever get into any, or did you just dive right into the short-term rental side of it?
Well, we have no experience, personal experience. Yeah. Some of my friends that are owners of the brokerage, they are into real estate investing, which is single family homes in the local area, which has always been something that I've thought about, but it never really excited me or ignited like any sort of passions within me. But through a couple of trips that we've been on as a family, you do the math. I hear this on your podcast all the time. You're like, how much am I paying each night for this trip? And what's the mortgage again for this home that we're staying at? And then you start to do the math and think a little bit and, do a little bit of searching on the internet, and you start to realize, wow, this is a legit investment opportunity. And then finding you was just very timely. We have a strong faith background. I totally think it was a God thing, how we found you, and just the timing of it all. And so I didn't realize that we would jump in so quickly, like as far as getting your course and being under contract probably within weeks. But it's been such a blessing and so exciting for us.
Absolutely. I think we've been looking for an opportunity to invest. We had financially been taking care of some things and getting ready, and we were ready to invest in one way or another, and keeping our eyes open and really just ready to act on it. And so I think that was perfect timing.
Awesome. Yeah. It's when you're going through that process, like you say, it's timely, right? Most of us are interested in things, and we're, when the time's right, we jump into it. What were some of the big fears getting into it? You guys, we had a couple conversations, but what were some of those fears? Because once you jumped in, you guys got after it.
I would say one of the biggest, and I wouldn't even call it fear, but one of the biggest things that's been interesting being a couple of years in real estate is just watching the income, right? It kind of has its ebbs and flows. Yeah. And for the first couple of years, the business was growing really quickly, but you still go from seeing like a huge, maybe second, third quarter to a very weak fourth or first quarter. And so you're still getting your sea legs in real estate with how to handle an uncertain income. So we had to accomplish some personal goals, such as, reaching certain thresholds with our savings and making sure that, some different debts or car loans were paid off and whatnot. But we finally got to the point where we felt good. And then on top of that, because of the market condition with COVID, there has been no cooling off in this market. So this has been our best year ever. Fourth quarter is looking great. First quarter as well. And because we're able to check the box, we were in a position to say, okay, we're probably more ready than what we thought. Yeah.
Awesome. And I'm glad you brought that up, because that's something that, it's kind of people understand that you have to be in a financial position to take advantage of these types of properties, right? When we analyze them, when we're talking about them, we're not like, when we do those quick analysis when we stay in a property and we look at it, we're like, okay, I'm paying $1,000 a week or $3,000 a week, whatever it is. And the mortgage, that's paying the mortgage for the whole month usually. But we quickly do it and we don't realize that, well, it's probably sitting vacant, 50 or 60% of the time. And after you do you can still, it's a good financial model and can make a lot of sense, but it's not like you're going to just be rich overnight with these properties, right? They still take some time to do it. You have to put down payment money down. You guys are going through the process now where you're going to do a little bit of a fix up. You're going to have to furnish the property, possibly add some things. So you have to be in a position financially to take advantage of it, right? And that's important for people to know, because you don't want to dive into something and bite off more than you can chew. And I love when people hear that, because we want those expectations set really realistically for people. And it's great that you guys realize that. And then that was part of the timing for you.
Yes. And I'm not trying to give you a big head when I say this, Sean, but hopefully this will encourage you. But I think one of the reasons why you gained instant credibility with us is that you don't beat around the bush. You don't sugarcoat it. You're not like, flashing some shiny thing and misleading people. You're saying, you know what? There's a commitment there. It's not what you think. And what that does is that humility and that honesty, it breeds trust. And so it's like, hey, this guy knows what he's talking about. He knows that it's going to take some work. If someone ever makes it sound too good to be true or too easy, to me, that's an instant red flag.
Yeah.
And so, you were able to gain our attention right away because of that. And probably many people that are in this course, in this group here, is because of you just being straightforward and blunt.
Nice. So I appreciate you saying that. And that's just kind of how we operate. And I appreciate being around people like that. And so we just try to do the same. Right. And, I say this all the time too. I'm in such a lucky position. I'm grateful every day. Every day I wake up, every day I go to bed, we say thanks, because I get to do what I love every single day. And I'm around people and I meet new people like you guys. I mean, we met less than 30 days ago. Right. And you're inside of our group, and we'll continue to build that group. And it's just so fun to be around people doing this. And part of that is that we get into it with the right expectations. We get into an understanding that, hey, there's going to be, it's not all, sunshines and rainbows and good days. Sometimes there's challenges we have to deal with. There's money we have to have saved up. There's all these different things. But when we know that, we can really take that and build something that's really, really fun and lasting and adds a lot of impact to our lives and our families and everything else. And that's what's so fun about it. And so I appreciate you saying that, because and it's just part of the process. And that's what part of our name, you guys, like we talked about, it's called Vodyssey. We try to make up a name, but that word Odyssey, it's like this epic journey. And it's not a journey that without challenges, and it's not a journey without some of the, some things that are going to happen along the way, but it's a worthwhile journey. And it's something that we learn from, and the fun is the journey to me. And so, and that's why I love our group so much. I love, I could talk for an hour about this, because I just feel so blessed to be around people that just go out and make it happen. Like, we're going to hear your guys' story. I get so happy every day when people are just out doing it, right? People say, I always tell people, 10% of the process is our course. 90% is the people that are doing it. And you guys are an absolute testament to that. So that's awesome. So
you're definitely in your sweet spot. Love it.
Yeah. So it's fun. So let's talk about the property. So you got into the course. We started looking. I think you guys are in the running. I need to run the numbers. You're in the running for one of the fastest under contracts in the course. And so I think we're less than 20 days, right? So and so tell us a little bit about the property. What you found. I know that we talked about the beach, and I already kind of let people know it's not a beach, it's a mountain ski property. But it was really fun for me looking at that and your property analysis. It was a really fun little property.
Yeah, well, in filling out the worksheets that you gave us, we identified 2 areas that we were interested in, and one was the beach, actually, the Outer Banks. We live in Virginia, so that's about 4 or 5 hours away. Mm-hmm. And the second was a local resort in the mountains. What are mountains to us here on the East Coast? No offense to your West Coast; those are true mountains. Yeah. But that was our second choice. And, it's interesting because when we were looking at the tools that you've provided for us, actually, when we started looking at the numbers at the beach, it just didn't make as much sense. And so that's where I think, there's an excitement and the personal use of a vacation rental, which there should be. That's one of the part of the beauty of it. But you also have to match that excitement with the numbers, and the numbers didn't look too good. And then we started looking at Wintergreen Resort, and we were just really interested in what we saw. We initially started looking at higher priced homes, but then we actually ended up settling on, a smaller condo that was, right off the ski slope. So it's ski in, ski out. And you have a beautiful view off the patio there. It is on the ground level, which I think is really awesome. Yeah. And it does have a full kitchen, which is something that matters to us. And I think in the future, with things going on in our country, I think that's actually an important thing to have, and nice to have as well. But I think the biggest, one of the biggest surprises for us in this process of looking at this property was, I thought that it would be like only sought out after, or mainly sought out after, in the winter months. But after using the tools that you provided us, we were shocked to see that the summer and the falls were just as high as far as the occupancy rates. Yeah. So it ended up being a great opportunity for us, and actually at a lower price point because it was smaller and more simple. So it quickly became exciting to us.
Yeah.
What am I missing? Am I missing anything with that?
No, that sounds great. I think, right now we're looking at it and just trying to decide on what do we do as far as renovations and things like that, because it is very outdated. And so that's kind of where we're at with talks and things going into it.
Yeah. So you guys are, you're fresh. You're a week or two under contract now. Are you even that far into under contract?
It'll be a week this Saturday. So we're 5 days in.
So we
already had the home inspection completed. Yep. And now we're basically asking the seller to do some stuff, but then we're collecting quotes to do pretty much a complete remodel. The flooring, the paint, but it's only 800 square feet. Yeah. It's a studio condo. So when you look at quotes for stuff like that, it's not like you're trying to do an entire house. Mm-hmm. So it's like, okay, let's take a look at what it would cost to take this and have it completely renovated and updated, and go from there. Make sure it makes sense for us still.
Awesome. Let's talk about that a little bit, because I think that's a fun part of the process for people to hear, because you're in the middle of that. And when we looked at it, first I want to touch on a couple things. It is nice to be able to see, when you start to analyze different areas, you start to say, okay, where am I going to get the best, bang for my buck, the best return on that investment? And you start to see the different seasonality and things like that, right? We assume ski hills are wintertime areas, and more and more across the country, the ski areas are, they're, in fact, in the Western mountains here in Colorado, Utah, the big ski mountains, they're making more money in the summertime than they do in the winter now. And it's crazy, and so they're almost turning into year-round resort communities outside of that melt-off season in the spring. Then, they're pretty much year-round. And so you start to realize that. And in fact, when I saw your guys' property, I was going to text you, and I still am going to, well, I'll just tell you now, I was like, I want to buy a property there, because what I started looking at is there's a good little opportunity, but what you guys are in the process of that I want to kind of roll to now is taking this property, and everybody kind of does everything the same in this business, right? I say this all the time, that like 98% of the people kind of operate the same way. They buy a property, they don't really put too much into it because it's just a rental. I hear all the time, it's just a rental. I don't need to remodel it. I don't need everything nice. And so they all kind of stay dated. They all kind of blend in together, especially like condo complexes. We see it all the time. And there's a huge opportunity to go and take it and put a facelift on it. And like you mentioned, it's smaller. Some of these properties, it doesn't take a lot to make them really pop, and really, really come alive. And that's a fun part of the process. I think you guys are going to have a lot of fun with that. There's so many fun, design themes and stuff that you can do in mountain areas that I'm sure you're just diving into right now, and love to hear some of those ideas that you're probably thinking about right now, right?
Starting to think about it. Also going to really lean on some other people for that.
Yeah.
I think we've looked through pictures and ideas, but ultimately that becomes very overwhelming for me. So to get in touch with an interior designer is super helpful. We've been talking to somebody who can actually do the renovations for us.
Yeah.
And so that's where we're at in the process. I know what I like, but I don't, as far as being an interior designer, that is not me. So yeah, but it's fun. This is a fun part of the process for sure.
Yeah, since Emily and I have a background in real estate and we kind of work together in selling homes, it makes me feel like we kind of have a little bit of experience on what we would need to do to really make the pictures and the listing stand out. So, we do have some experience there. It can be a little overwhelming when you're trying to figure out what to do and all the different options that you have. But because we have some contacts, because we're already in real estate, it certainly helps to work with people that we already know. And they're all willing to travel a little bit further to do some work for us, which is awesome.
That is awesome. Yeah. A great network is worth their weight in gold for sure. And so, and that's what, and like we talked about, a lot of times we get intimidated a little bit by the whole process. A lot of times these properties aren't in our backyard, right? We can't go check on them every day. They're a little bit further away. And so we have a good team to be able to pull that off. But also, like we said, when you're really looking at how to create that unique experience and to, create that theme, and you pull in some of these professionals that can do that, it can come together pretty quickly and be something, pretty fun, pretty quickly. And so as you're kind of going through this right now, are there any really tough things that you're thinking like, okay, here's a couple things we're worried about that are coming up possibly?
Yeah. I guess for me, I'm looking at the renovation and wondering what type of budget we should have in mind going into it based on the property type. And also, the appliances are outdated. We might have an HVAC issue. So just looking at all these things and making sure that the numbers line up at this point is where I'm getting stuck a little bit.
Yeah. Awesome. And that's that for sure, that's something you want to look at, right? And always give yourself a little bit of a contingency, right? Anytime we do a renovation, we add about a 10 or 15% contingency. Right now, appliances are a challenge across the country. You can't get them, right? And so appliances, you got to order them, as soon as possible. Things like that you just don't want to wait on, and getting good solid bids from everybody. And it can be a renovation, even though it's not a lot of square footage, it can still be a stressful part of the process. And in fact, Jeff Weber, who you met originally, and then he went through that, and he called me all the time through his renovation. He's like, man, I don't know what I did. I don't know what I got myself into. And ultimately you'll get through it. But obviously you guys know we're a phone call away for some of that stuff as well too. But that is something that you have to be, diligent on and organized with, and, treat that as, don't just, even though you have partners doing it, don't just turn it over to everybody, because it can get out of hand pretty quick if you don't stay on top of it. So, as you're going through the process, any questions that you would have for me that, if let's say we were on a coaching call, are there any questions that you would have for me that, because like I said, you guys are in the game fairly, you got in quick, you're going through it pretty quick, and we're going through this process, and it might be fun for somebody to hear if there's anything coming to mind that are just questions.
I guess I have one. It goes back sort of to what I just was talking about, but as far as the renovation, is there a certain percentage or anything that you recommend as a budget, looking at a certain property, of should you do it all at once? Should you maybe hold off on renovating the kitchen and wait a year? Or, I guess those are the questions that are coming to my mind right now.
So budget wise, that's a good question. So it does come down to the budget. First of all, how much do you have realistically without biting off more than you can chew, right? Anytime I tackle a renovation, I prefer to do it all at once if I can. And so it really is, I've done it many times where I've pieced it together, and it always turns out to be more expensive, and it doesn't turn out as nice. And then if I can just do it all at once in the beginning, there you go. You hear my
yes.
pop card. So there we go. Sorry. Just so you listeners hear, I've got a glass office that's by a hospital. So once in a while we hear cop cars and sirens. So sorry, the little distraction. We were making a joke about that before. But so I definitely, if you have it in the budget, I would definitely try to do it all at once. It makes it much easier. Nobody's in there. You can go in, you can get it done the way you want it. And because many times too, when you try to piece it together, if just to try to save time, or, like right now, a challenge will be getting somebody to do the work. Everybody's so busy. So sometimes you're like, I'll just wait on that. And then you never get back to it. And especially if the property's rented and everything else. And then it just becomes one of the other properties in the complex. So if you're going to take the time to dive in, I would dive in, and my inclination is that's your guys' style anyways. You're going to dive in the deep end. And so
yeah, we were leaning that way, but
yeah.
It's nice to hear it.
Yeah, that's what I would do for sure. And then I would try to get, as far as budgeting on a rehab, it's really hard to say, okay, I'm gonna budget X dollar amount, because every property is so specific, right? So you really have to just do a good job of getting good solid bids for the work that you're looking at doing. And sometimes that's a price per square foot. If you've got like a contractor that will come in and do most of it, sometimes that's just going to be a dollar amount. And so you really have to go property specific on that and get good solid bids for it. But there's going to be supply issues right now that you're going to have to deal with. You're going to have to deal with, are you guys going to refurnish or the property? I know it was probably sold furnished, but I don't know how much of it you're going to keep or use or what.
We're going to have to refurnish most of it. I would say it's just outdated.
Okay.
Because it's so small, there's just not that much there.
Yeah.
So, it is a studio. So there's not like its own separate bedroom. So we've talked about things like, okay, do we want a bed that has a trundle pull out so that we can also pair that with maybe they're selling it furnished. There's already a pull out couch there. So technically, even though it's a studio and it's 800 square feet, it could sleep 5 people.
Yeah.
And maybe do so comfortably. So, but yeah, we're talking about making sure that we make sure it's updated. We don't want to update the whole studio and then have outdated furniture. It just wouldn't look right. So we're probably looking at going all in to really make it pop.
I would suggest that just seeing it where the furniture kind of matched the era that it was in, and as you redo it, I would consider that as well as part of the budget and do that. I think it will bring the whole property together for sure. And then I wanted to mention, and I think we talked about this a little bit, but one of the kind of the things that everybody talks about is heads in beds, right? We want to maximize how many people a property can sleep. And where you've got a studio and you're like, we can comfortably sleep 5. Maybe 5 makes sense. Maybe it doesn't, right? And so if it's 5 with kids, that's a different story than trying to get adults in there, right? And so the way that you set it up is a big deal, because it's not always about just maximizing sleeping space. And so you want to really kind of go through that and think about that, because sometimes, if a studio, and it's a large studio, an 800 square foot studio, I mean, you've got space in there, but it's not, you don't always want to just say, okay, how many people can we stack in here and sleep, right? And so as you kind of consider setting it up, because some people just do that and they think that, hey, I'm going to throw bunk beds here and I'm going to throw, couches over here, and it just kind of ruins the experience in the space. So, and I know you guys will think that through, and we'll have a lot of fun helping you get that set up as well. I'm excited to see how it goes. I love little properties because you can do so much to them for not a huge amount of cost, right? And they can be really fun to set up. Awesome, guys. What am I forgetting to ask? Anything that you guys would like to share with people? Any aha moments? Anything that you would love listeners to hear that are thinking about this process or getting into this process?
Well, once again, I'm not trying to make this a commercial, but you're probably gonna like this answer, Sean. But just to share with people, one of the things that was so helpful for us is, and we knew this in getting into this course, into this group, that you would provide coaching when we did find a property that we were interested in. And I was amazed by how quick you responded. We reached out to you saying, hey, believe it or not, we've already found a property. We're interested. Can you take a look? And you were going into a meeting, but as soon as the meeting was done, you sent us this 15-minute video just kind of showing us the numbers. And that was super helpful because it answered a lot of the questions that we had that we didn't even have a chance to ask you yet. So you were able to get ahead on that. And then after that, just some of the tools that we were kind of going through the course, double time, utilizing that software to go through fast.
Yeah.
I think we had Sean at 1.6 and maybe even 1.7 at one time. But we were soaking it all up like a sponge, and the tools were so helpful. I think a lot of the questions that we have now are like maybe even like smaller things. Like one of the questions we were talking about the other day was even just locks on a door. They make these locks that can change for every single person that comes, which I think is pretty incredible. So, we're looking at things like locks or, nest options so that we can control the temperature while being away. So just a lot of those little questions.
But yeah, that's awesome. And that's exactly, as you go through that setup process, absolutely get, like even the Noise Aware, Noise Aware is a great product that you just plug inside, and it's a great security type device. So if somebody's having too big of a party, you get a warning basically. And it really sends you on your phone, hey, there's, you're getting really high decibels and it's a condo association. So your neighbors are going to appreciate that, right? Can
I get that for my boys?
Yeah,
right. Seriously.
I know. I tried to plug one in my house one time. It didn't work. It just kept going off. I was like, all right. Yeah. But no, those are the little things that you like we always talk about, we don't know what we don't know, right? And that's one of the benefits as well, is you guys are surrounding yourself with people that are doing this, they're in the game. And and even like we have that process for the property analysis that you just mentioned. And you guys learned how to do it. And it's so fun for me to go through that, because most of the time, like that wasn't the first one you filled out. You looked at, like you said, you looked at the Outer Banks, you looked at some other stuff to kind of figure it out. But, a lot of times, like I love analyzing properties. I can analyze properties and I can talk about this all day, every day. I've said that 100 times on the podcast. Right. And so it's fun for me. So that's why, but that's part of the benefit of what we do. And we have a lot of fun doing it. And so that's why we get on it pretty quick, because I love looking at properties. We're constantly, we do this. This is what we do. I'm not just a coach, right? I make the majority of my living investing in real estate. And so, and that's what I've always done. And so it's just, all we're doing is just kind of sharing what we're doing. So, we're having a lot of fun with you guys, and it's just, and the whole rest of the group. And I just, appreciate as much, I love it when that interested or committed, right? I love when people get in and they just take action and they are committed, and that's absolutely.
Well, I will say this, and I'm sure a lot of people that are listening can relate to this, but, we are opposites. We complement each other. And even though we both love looking at homes, how we approach it is so different. So I'm more of the salesman that is more, maybe a little bit more impulsive, that is more of a feeler as far as situations goes. And Emily is more of a researcher. And so it's been so cool to do this with her, because number one, she's crunching the numbers and obsessed with the AirDNA tool and all the numbers that show you if it's a good or bad investment or not. And I'm like, shoot, go ahead, have at it. Let me know when you're done. What that cash on cash return is, what your cap rate is. I'll look at that bottom line, but she loves doing that. Whereas I don't, and I enjoy doing things that she doesn't like doing. And I'm sure a lot of people on here can relate to that. But also just to kind of be a little bit more vulnerable for a moment, and maybe a little bit more raw and real, for a lot of moms that stay at home and watch their kids, that consumes you. And so for Emily to have a sort of an outlet that allows her the ability to scratch an itch that maybe being a mom and a wife and a homeschool teacher, just to see her come alive like that has been probably the most exciting part of the journey for me. Obviously, I'm excited about getting the property and acquiring it, but seeing her get excited about it, that makes it worth it for me. And I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that.
That is awesome. I love it. And it is, it's such, and I think you guys have probably heard me say this on the podcast before. It's one of the funnest parts about this space of real estate that I've ever been a part of, is families do this together. And it brings out different aspects and different, fulfills different needs for everybody. And like for Emily, it's like, okay, I like diving into the numbers. I like analyzing these properties. I like getting into this, and it gives me, something else to hang my hat on, or whatever, that I love. And everybody has different pieces. But what's so fun to me is families are doing it together. And there's an aspect to that is so fulfilling for me personally, because I've been investing in real estate for 20 years, right? And the last 4 years or 5 years, we've been doing this. And I've never been in any other lane of real estate that families do together. It's usually one or the other.
I love that.
Just a business deal, and it's just an investment, and that's all it is. And this is something that people do together. And that's why I always refer to them as lifestyle assets. It's because, and lifestyle is different for everybody, but, and the fulfillment we get is different for everybody. But I hear it's like this overarching theme that, we're doing this together, we're having fun together, your kids end up getting involved in it. And it's just, there's nothing, you can't put a price tag on that. That's so fun. And that's awesome.
Well, that's spot on. I think that's probably why you attract a certain type of person that comes to you. It's because they want that. They want that for their families. They want that lifestyle and the ability to create memories while investing. It's not like you're doing one or the other. You're able to do both. And so I think it's just an untapped market. And I'm sure it's going to continue to grow, as you all have mentioned, but we're certainly grateful that we ran across we came across you on Facebook, and we were sucked in, and it was a quick decision and a great decision, and we are so thankful. So here we are, less than 30 days, and I know we have so much more to learn, but we are truly grateful to be here.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, the feeling's mutual. We love having you guys. I sure appreciate you taking a little bit of time today and chatting, and I think it's really fun for people to hear, somebody that just got in going and is already having results and already has a property. And, the next time we talk, we're going to be talking about the numbers. Emily will have the spreadsheet out, and we'll know the exact returns we've got, right? So
that's right.
Now you just need to do one thing. You need to buy a place in Wintergreen, and then we'll go out there, meet up, and you can show us your ski tricks. You tell me. So here's the funny thing. So I am not saying this because I'm dead serious about buying something in Wintergreen. So I'm very actively trying to buy properties. So you find me a property, I'm there. I'll be your neighbor. But I was looking. Well, hey, I'll be your agent.
I know you will. That's what I said. Go find me a property. You'll be representing me, and I'll get a property. We'll both be happy.
That's great.
And so
we'll be skiing together, golfing together, going to the wineries and breweries and having fun.
Do you guys ski there? By the way, do you actually have you been and skied there before?
We have. Yes, we have.
Yes, we have.
Yeah, I went, I looked at, and I just saw they're like these teeny little resorts compared to what we're used to, right? They're like,
yes.
And like we get like 400 and something inches of snow at our resorts annually. And I was looking at the annual snowfall is like 36 inches. And I'm like, how do they
yes.
ski? And
they just make snow.
Make so much snow. Yeah, we're from Michigan, so we're used to more snow as well. But yeah, they make it.
And it works, right?
It works. It's a little icy sometimes, but it works.
Yeah, that's fun. Well, hey, listen, I'm dead serious. You find me a property, I'm coming out there. What we're going to do, guys, we're going to actually start going to, after the first of the year, we're going to start taking our crew on the road, and we're going to start going and investing in different properties across the country, kind of take our show on the road a little bit and kind of document the process, make it really fun for people to see us doing it. So you go find me a property there.
Great idea.
We'll be right there with you. So, guys,
on it.
Okay, hey, it doesn't have to be the first of the year. You tell me tomorrow, we'll get it. So you go find me one. Just find me one by yours, and we'll just have the contractors do a double dip there.
That's right.
Yeah. So awesome, guys. Well, listen, thank you so much for joining us today. I know our listeners will appreciate hearing your story. I'm super excited to continue down this journey with you guys. And seeing what you're going to do with that little property there, and how fun it's going to be. And if all of you listening, we're going to be back here same time, same place next week. We always appreciate you leaving us a review, subscribing to the channel. And if you got anything out of this, share it with somebody else. And we'll plan on seeing you same time, same place. Thanks, guys. Cheers.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Vacation Rental Revolution podcast. Share this with other people you think need to hear about it. And don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. Hey, Grace, is there a website? Yes! For more amazing content and expert advice, visit Vodyssey. Vodyssey.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode.